The presidential race begins, and we have our first daily numbers.
The gender gap is alive and well.
And will the new Secret Service sex scandal have political implications? I'm Frank Newport, Gallup Editor-in-Chief.
I'm Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today.
And this is Election Matters. Well, Susan, we've been sitting here for many months talking about who's going to win the GOP nomination. Mitt Romney does not have it official. That probably won't be till the convention or close before it, but everybody assumes with Rick Santorum's suspension of his campaign that it's Romney versus Obama. The race is on, right? We're down to the two leading contenders.
The race is on, and the first Gallup Daily tracking numbers put Romney at 47%, Obama at 45%, which shows that we are starting out with a really close contest.
Too close to call. That's absolutely right. Now, our tracking is based on a big sample. We interview about 500 national adults a night. Registered voters shrinks it down some, but we have over 2,000 people in each 5 nights worth of tracking, so it's a pretty stable, large sample, and absolutely correct. It's close at this point. Most polls have shown it close nationally. Our swing states poll showed Obama did a little better, but nationally it's been close, and right now it's close. However, history shows where the candidates are now in the polls doesn't necessarily predict diddly squat about who's going to win in November, if I may use that expression.
Yes, if you look at past presidents at this point, presidents who are running for re-election, Jimmy Carter and the elder George Bush were ahead at this point in April of their election years. Of course, they both went on to lose by a fair amount in November.
Yeah. Now, the incumbents who won big, like Clinton in '96 and Reagan in '84, were ahead at this point. There were never much doubt, but it doesn't look like we're heading for that at the moment. It's close, but again, so much can happen between now and October and November that we're just saying this is where it is now, and that's why we track, because as things happen on the campaign, we'll be able to see what it means.
I think this is a little sobering for the White House, however, because Mitt Romney has just come through a really bruising primary campaign. So this is not what you would think is his likely high point. And yet he's doing very well, essentially tied with the president.
That's right. We do track motivation today to vote in our tracking. We're going to do likely voters later, as you know. Right now, when we ask, how certain are you to vote, what we find is actually the Romney voters and the Obama voters aren't very far apart, like 4 points apart. So right now, we don't see any huge turnout advantage for one side or the other.
And of course, that, on the other hand, may be a little sobering for the Romney
That's
side,
right.
Because we've seen Republican advantage in enthusiasm in the past months into last year. So the fact that it's essentially, it's pretty close, that's not good news for him.
Hillary Rosen. The gender gap in our data are alive and well, and that probably tells us why the White House and the Romney campaign reacted so quickly to what was basically, a 15-second comment that a kind of unknown, well, she's known inside the Beltway, but nationally an unknown figure, Hillary Rosen, said about Ann Romney never having worked a day in her life.
This is amazing. It reminded me of an interview I did with Teresa Heinz Kerry during that campaign, where she said Laura Bush had never worked a day in her life, which was number one, untrue, because
she'd been a librarian.
And also politically quite inept, because we all know, anybody who's been home with children know it's much harder than going to the office and working.
But in our data right now, men are 10 points towards Romney, women are 5 points towards Obama. That's a 15-point gender gap, if you want to look at it that way. So there's no question Obama has the advantage among women, and I guess that's why they reacted so quickly to the Rosen comments. They quickly said, by the way, she doesn't work for us, right? Hillary Rosen, who's that? But they reacted so quickly, obviously, because they wanted the distance and stuff, because women are a real key constituency for the Obama plans this year.
No kidding. I mean, when was the last time somebody not connected with the White House could make a comment on CNN, and the next day you'd have the president, the vice president, and the first lady all going on Twitter to say they disagreed?
Absolutely. It shows the importance of Twitter, too. Ann Romney, they got her a Twitter campaign account, didn't they, real quickly?
Yes, yeah.
Buffett rule. Not going to become law. That's the rule that says people like you, Susan, who are making $1 million or more a year in income have to pay at least 30% of your money. Not going to become law, but Obama was really pushing it. And actually, when we tested in isolation, 60% of Americans say, good idea.
Yeah, any idea that you're going to tax somebody who's not yourself, people seem to like. And so people who make $1 million a year or more, that seems like a group that most people don't belong to. So it is a popular one. We do see the president pushing it, even though White House economists will acknowledge in private that it's pretty much a gimmick. It doesn't solve the deficit problem, and it's not at all likely to become law.
But it does symbolically set the tone for the Obama campaign, particularly against a millionaire opponent. So I think that's why they like it, why Obama likes it, his campaign strategists, because it really helps underscore what they're trying to emphasize in this campaign. We're for the middle class and a little guy Mitt Romney and the Republicans are for the rich.
And you know, that's an important issue maybe as we look at tax day. April 15th was Sunday. Everybody's federal income taxes are due Tuesday. So reminding people of how much they dislike rich people who manage to not pay as much tax as they do, that's probably a political winner.
Let's mention finally the most fascinating occurrence of the week, which was the Secret Service, right? You've traveled with the president before.
I've traveled with the president many times in the Secret Service, one of the government institutions that I think is widely respected, rarely been involved in any kind of scandal or controversy of any sort. Men and women willing to put their lives on the line for the president and protect
Clint Eastwood,
others.
remember the movie?
And yet here they're involved in an embarrassing scandal that involves hiring prostitutes while they're in Colombia there to protect the president.
Yeah, and we were talking just before we started taping, and you reminded us of the GSA scandal with this lavish expenditures in Las Vegas that they spent money on a couple of years ago. Heads have rolled over that. But all of this, you might say, can't help the image of the government, but I would say the image of the federal government is so low right now, it's just going to kind of be fuel on the fire.
Not helpful, though. I mean, Americans want to feel proud about their government. In the Gallup poll that you all had, it ranked last among 26
That's
institutions.
right. Oil and gas
government.
industry used to be last, but now federal government was last.
So I think this must be disheartening because you and I know there are a lot of good people who work for the government.
Absolutely. I have a couple of children that work for the government one way or the other. The political implications, finally, Susan, you don't know. You would have to assume Obama would get hit a little more by this as the incumbent. He's head of the governor. He's the executive branch, right? He theoretically is in charge of all these entities. So it can't help him. Certainly Romney is not going to hurt Romney, I wouldn't think, and maybe Romney could try to take advantage of it.
You know, I don't think it really taints the president. Nobody holds them responsible for the behavior of a couple of Secret Service agents. But to the degree that Democrats stand as a party who thinks government can do good, that the government has a big role, maybe it's a little hurtful to that point of view.
Absolutely. Well, Susan, there would have been a time when we would have said, we'll talk next week and look forward to the Pennsylvania primary. Isn't that exciting? But now that's a moot point, right? It's Santorum's home state. Maybe he'll, I don't know, will he still be on the ballot? Do we know?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore. So we're now focusing on the general, and Rick Santorum's off to make money as a commentator and columnist and talking head on TV, we assume. Is that right?
Well, we assume that, and we'll wait to see if he endorses Mitt Romney.
Big key. Newt Gingrich isn't going to endorse him anytime soon, is he?
Not anytime soon,
That's
no.
what we read. I'm Frank Newport, Gallup Editor-in-Chief.
I'm Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today.
And this is Election Matters.